Hi, folks. Jack O'Malley. Time for the Friday update, and I'm going to blow through some things because I want to end on a topic that I think is really important, and it's not it's a kind of a generalized thing. Pardon me, throat's a little dry. Some things I'm going to just go through them quick here. This week, the House has announced an ethics package. We've talked a little bit about it. We're pushing for freedom of information ability for the governor's office and the legislature, something that we don't have right now. I'll talk more about the ethics package that was introduced. I'll do it next week because, like I said, I want to touch on a couple of things that are happening right now just so they get on your radar. But that's a big deal. I'll talk more about next week. Budget time in Lansing. And the budget, the money, right, is important. Something that the House of Representatives has introduced. I don't know how far it's going to go because we got to get it through the Senate and then the governor's got to agree to it. So there'll be some compromise there. But I like the idea. 9 state departments would be funded quarterly instead of for the whole year. Every quarter, you got to show what you're using the money for, how effectively you're using it before new money would be appropriated. So you'd get it set up for the entire year, but it wouldn't be appropriated until you've met some certain metrics. That probably isn't going to fly, but I like the idea. Maybe even if it ends up on a compromise of 6-month budgets or something like that. I think there's a place for that in our budgeting instead of just, well, here's your whole year and you can kind of go nutso till we come back. And that could work when there's a Republican administration and when there's a Democratic one too. I kind of like that idea. Again, I'm keeping moving here because there's something I really do want to chat with you about. This one really ticks me off. The Unlock Michigan people went out and got over 500,000 signatures. They needed 400 and some thousand. The Bureau of Elections took forever, but finally said, yes, there are enough solid signatures here to continue the process for the ballot proposal. But our state board of canvassers, 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats, deadlocked 2-2 on certifying those ballots. And the Democrats who voted no said, well, they have questions on how the signatures were accommodated. So the Bureau of Elections okayed it. Attorney General Nessel said there were maybe some things that weren't perfect, but no laws were broken. So our board of canvassers were able to kill this. And this ticks me off because this goes back to the same issue back in November. And there was a lot of squawking about that. So I think that's bull. That means it's going to end up in the courts, and I'm confident we'll win. But this is I'll just leave it at that. There will be key pounders adding into that. But I'm sure we'll prevail. But the state board of canvassers, the 2 Democrats on that board, are just causing more problems. And you talk about voter suppression. 500,000 people followed the Constitution, went out, got the required ballot to get this on the ballot. And now these 2 people say, no, this isn't good enough. BS. To the courts we go. All right. Just so you know, Director Gordon, former Director Gordon of the Department of Health and Human Services, the Oversight Committee, I linked a video from that hearing to this page from the other day. We voted to subpoena Director Gordon, former Director Gordon. He's agreed to be in on Thursday. So we're going to talk to Director Gordon on Thursday. So it should be very interesting. And we'll be talking to him really only about his separation agreement and the $155,000. So stay tuned to that. I want you to know that the subpoena's gone out. He will be there. Well, he could still plead the fifth. Yeah, it doesn't appear that that's what he's going to do. He agreed right away to say he'd be there. So just an FYI, that's coming up. The thing that I wanted to talk to you about today is a little more out in the world there, a little more up here, I guess is the way. I've been on a little bit of a Facebook chat with a guy, and I think he represents an interesting perspective that I don't think people understand, or maybe I don't understand, right? Maybe I'm the one that's wrong. But I was talking about my childcare initiatives, and he's like, well, There shouldn't even be any regulations. The states should get their nose out of it, and this, that, and the other thing. The Constitution says, well, once again, let's start off with the Constitution. The Constitution, many people think of it as a pamphlet that we've all read, the forefathers put together. But when you look at the Constitution of the United States in a legal sense, the dang book, I've got it in my office. Maybe next week when I'm in office, the dang book is this thick. The pamphlet's this thick. Our Constitution is this thick. Why? Because every time the Supreme Court rules, that alters the Constitution. That's the way the Founding Fathers set it up. So the pamphlet is the Constitution. I can't argue that. You're absolutely right. But you've got to work within what the Supreme Courts have said. So here we are. And he thinks that I should just be able to vote no. And we all have our beliefs and our thoughts on any topic. And I'm not talking about COVID now, whatever it is, right? And we all think we're right. Well, here's the interesting thing. The way our founding fathers set it up, our state is set up, that is, we have representatives from all around the state. So let's just speak of the House right now. There are 110 of us. And how the 101 thinks, the 101st thinks, might, and because we're more of a rural district, might be completely different than maybe the city of Monroe, right? It's a more urban and just outside a major metropolitan area. They might think differently than the people in Ishpeming think than the people in Grand Rapids. And so our representatives all come together. And everybody thinks they're right because that's what we need in this district. So we all come together. And I come in with my 101st. Here's what and these people told me, you follow the Constitution, O'Malley, and you do this. Okay. I've now got to convince these other reps that their districts are telling them this is how you follow the Constitution. Because remember, the Constitution, Michigan and U.S., are the most interpreted documents, maybe other than the Bible, right? So I've joked, I never knew how many constitutional experts lived in the state of Michigan until I got elected. The Constitution says, yeah. And how has it been interpreted by the courts and everybody? So let me explain to you how this works. I'll give you an example. I had a school bus package. It's a safety package. It worked with putting stop arm cameras so that if somebody runs the stop sign, it'll take a picture of the license plate and you can follow with the ticket. And then the other one said you can't board a bus without permission of the driver. Well, depending on who you were talking to, I mean, it's all about safety and protecting our kids. Schools, you can't get in unless they let you in, right? And all I'm trying to do is extend that same protection to our school buses. Point being is, there were people who just thought those bills were terrible. And so you have to work amongst those 110 people to get a consensus. Because remember, when I got elected, everybody said, here are the 3 most important numbers in Lansing. Are you ready? 56, 20, and 1. You need 56 House of Representatives to vote yes for something to pass. You need 20 senators out of 38 to say yes. And you need 1 governor's signature. If you don't have 56, you can have 56, but if you don't have 20, you don't go anywhere. If you have 56 and 20, but not the 1, it doesn't go anywhere. So no matter what you feel as an individual, what I feel, let me put it this way, no matter what it is I feel, I fight for it as far as I can go to get something good changed. Now, let me give you another story here and how government works. When I was in the what's the word I'm looking for? I want to say inaugurate, but we were all freshmen, and we're sitting in on things. Former Lieutenant Governor Brian Calley comes in, and he was saying, people would say to me, Brian, why didn't you fight for this all the way? You failed. And he said, no, I didn't. I had to come to realize that we're here. I'd love to get here, but right now I can only get 56, 20, and 1 to here. So I have to accept the fact that I made it better. I didn't make it perfect, but I made it better. So to this gentleman who wants all these, the state got to get rid of these rules. State shouldn't be having this. I don't disagree, right? We still need some safety and thing regulation. So I'm working for daycare to lower the restrictions. And we're here. I'd love to get here, but I got to fight to get here. Why? Because that's all I'm going to get right now. So as you spit and sputter about why isn't this or why isn't that, just remember, using Michigan, I don't know what the federal level is, 56-20-1. We're working towards a goal. If you think you can just walk in, say no to everything, you are going to get nowhere. Why? Because everybody is fighting for their district and the importance to their district, right? Yes, Jack, they should have the state's overall thoughts in mind. Of course. But we represent our districts, right? And so we are trying to do that. And we are trying to work coalitions. And we are trying to explain why this is better. All right? So we can sit there. The Constitution says this. I don't disagree with you. But remember, the Constitution has been interpreted for 200 plus years, and it's not the pamphlet anymore. It's a book this thick, right? That's the way the Founding Fathers set it up. They set it up so that the Supreme Court could decide these arguments. So this is the Constitution, whether you like it or not. But if you want to change it, you got to get 56-20-1. That's where we're at. So I think that's an important discussion as we piss and moan, pardon me, but that's just the way it is, as we do about why this isn't working or that isn't working. Realize your representative and your senator, we're all working to get from here to here, but it might only get to here right now, because once we're here, we can work to get to here, right? So I get the frustrations, but we have to understand the system. Whether you like the system or not, you got to understand the system to make change. So if you want to just be a no on everything, I'm going to tell you, you're not going to get anywhere. If it goes against your moral, of course you're going to be a no. But maybe you have to give on this one because you want them to give on yours. 56-20-1. That's where we're at. That's how the system works. That's how our founding fathers set it up. That's how the Constitution has it. We've got to work within it. Sometimes it's frustrating as all get out. But I think it's important for people to understand. You got to compromise. I tell people all the time, well, let me start over. In my district, there are a lot of conservative Republicans. There are a lot of liberal Democrats. And then there's people in the middle who, this way or that way, maybe they're socially liberal, fiscally conservative, whatever. Doesn't matter. My point is, I got elected, and I understand that I might not agree with you. Let's just use the Republican Democrat for just a moment. I might not agree with you, but I always try to respect your opinion because I represent you. And I say I might not agree with you, and what you tell me might not change my mind. My gosh, you're right. But something you tell me may make me say, okay, I get that, and I understand that. Not going to change my mind, but it might alter my thinking. Not change my mind, but alter how I look at it or move on this. I think that's what we've lost in politics. What we've lost is, I don't agree with you, but I respect you, I hear you, and I understand a little bit. I can agree with you here, not here, but I can agree with you here. I'll move forward and represent you. And that's what I try to do. So I realize that I might not make everybody happy all the time. I do. But I want you to know that I try to be respectful to everyone, and I'm trying not to cram anything down anybody's throats, because that's not the respectful thing to do. You try to be diplomatic as you move forward. And I think diplomacy, being a diplomat, has been lost in our conversation as we have to have sides. No, we want what's right for people. So I'm going to continue to move forward. 56, 20, and 1. You don't get it, you get nowhere. That's just the way the system works, whether you like it or not. But I want you to be aware of it. Okay? I'm out of here. We'll talk more on Monday. I want to talk more about ethics and some other things. But I thought it was important after that, my discussion on the keyboard with this guy. You know, it's worth talking about. Again, I'm sure there will be comments here telling me I'm a horse's patoot. But tell you what, when you get elected, you realize that's how the system works. And if you want anything done, you got to work within it. And again, this system was set up by our founding fathers, representatives elected by their districts to go and sit in the seat of power. That's following the Constitution. Adios.